It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the 5 films of February 22nd, 2008. And once again, we've got a various assortment of different movies, mostly comedies, but we do have an action thriller. We also have a horror movie, and the comedies are mostly kind of sandwiched in between the bread that is the horror film and the horror film and the thriller. But we'll talk about all those movies, of course, as we go along here. But first, let's get to the biggest new release of the weekend, which is the ensemble political action thriller Vantage Point.
Here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Here in Salamanca, Spain, President Ashton has been working with leaders from 5 continents to forge a new groundbreaking alliance.
Today, we make history.
The United States has been shot.
You need your camera.
You saw the shooter.
There was something in that window.
I saw something too.
We have to respond.
You can't give the order. You've been shot. We risk telling the world that you weren't really there.
We weren't there.
We need you to tell us what's going on.
I think I just fought a guy who did it. We're shot in the city now. The NSA has just confirmed the threat.
Do we know who's behind this?
Don't release him. He knows something.
For the moment, the Americans think they've dodged a bullet.
Secret Service, I need to see your tapes. I'm in pursuit heading west. We have a satellite lock. We're looking for 5 people out of 6 million. Surprised to see me alive? Stop. Rewind that.
Oh my God.
What did he see?
What have you done? What have you done?
The beauty of American arrogance is that they cannot imagine a world where they're not a step ahead.
There's something else going on here. Control is compromised. Get off! My partner is in pursuit of a suspect. Get away!
This can't happen.
There's no 20 on the president.
Where is he?
Go! Go!
So, a very interesting concept for a movie. You have the story focusing on an assassination attempt of the President of the United States, played by William Hurt in Salamanca, Spain, as seen through the various vantage point of different characters. You have the secret agents, played by Dennis Quaid and Matthew Fox. You have a tourist, played by Forrest Whitaker. You have the President himself, Hurt, once again, and also you have this news reporter played by Sigourney Weaver. You even get not even a news reporter, but a news director, and you also get the terrorists themselves, and from their point of view. And it's a very intriguing movie that is literally taking a lot from what Akira Kurosawa did with Rashomon, which also employed this same type of storytelling, the same kind of story through multiple perspectives. In Rashomon, they used it to question the possibility of truth in a process called the Rashomon effect. Good Lord. And in Vantage Point, they recount a series of events which are reenacted through several different perspectives and viewpoints to reveal a truthful account about what happens. And it also explores kidnapping, assassination, and terrorism. And it's a really intriguing concept and makes for a good movie for the most part. Am I going to say it's a great movie? No, I'm not. I mean, it definitely has a lot of flaws to it, and there are definitely a lot of moments that are very, very much supposed to be taken seriously. It's one of those movies that has those moments where you're supposed to take it seriously and you're laughing your ass off. Like, I'll never forget when I went to go see this movie, and everyone was telling me about this scene where this little girl that Forrest Whitaker gets involved with, like, she's away from her mother, and she's trying to find her, and like there's this scene towards the end of the movie where, she's about to get hit by a car, and she just screams. She's just continuing screaming for about a good 30 seconds, and not even like she's like a legitimate real scream. It reminded me so much of the scene from Austin Powers where it's Michael McDonald as the security guard, and he's like putting his hand up when Mike Myers and Elizabeth Hurley are on the steamroller, and he's just screaming like, no! It just keeps going for like a whole minute. The difference is, though, that was meant for comedy. This is supposed to be taken seriously, and I'll never forget when that moment happened in this movie where the little girl was screaming. Like, everyone was just laughing their ass off because of just how long it was taking for this damn car to get to her. And, like, yeah, it definitely has a lot of those moments that are not that great, but there are a lot of moments where I think it does work. I like the idea of having this one singular moment through the eyes of various people so you can put together what's going on here. I like all the actors that they have in here. You also have Zoe Saldana, Ayet Zula, who will go on to star in Angels and Demons, Edgar Ramirez among the cast in here as well. There is a good idea involved in here, and I think it's done, for the most part, pretty well. Couldn't have been done a whole lot better? Absolutely. But for what it is, I think it's actually pretty solid. It's a very intriguing film, and I'm actually kind of surprised we don't get more movies that try to copy the same formula and do something similar to what a film like this or Rashomon does a whole lot better, especially Rashomon in particular. Akira Kurosawa, of course, you can't go wrong with him, but yeah, it's amazing that we haven't had more movies that have tried to do something like this, and it would have been surprising to see would have been interesting to see what they can do with it, but for what the movie has here, I thought it worked pretty well. I think it's an entertaining film. I think it's a really intriguing thriller, and it has some good moments where you do believe in the acting a lot. And it does have those silly moments, too, but they are very few and far between. But I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it a lot. I like Vantage Point. So with that said, let's go ahead and get to some comedies. And we start off with a really good one that was criminally underappreciated in its time, and I'm hoping that has garnered a following over the years. It's Michel Gondry's latest film, and that's Jack Black and Mos Def in Be Kind, Rewind.
Rewound this tape all over, and it's blank.
Really? This video don't work. Yours looks like this.
Look. All the tapes are blank. It's the TV, Mike. Show me how. Why is it doing that? Does that happen on YouTube? Uh-oh. What is wrong with you? Why is it doing that when you do that? You're magnetized. You erased these tapes. It's you. You gotta find new tapes. I got a better idea. Follow me. Come when you're walking down the street and you see a little ghost. What you gonna do about Ghostbusters? What is that? That's the Ghostbusters theme song. No. I'm pretty sure it is. Something strange. Stay where you are. I'm on my way. Good guy. Smile. That wasn't bad. What else y'all got? I will shoot you, and I know robot karate. Nothing from nothing, leave the
These are not just simple remakes.
What's happening to her? Our version is better. Our version is only 20 minutes. We're celebrities now. People recognize me in the street. Going for the kids. Go now. Kids are now. Why do I have to feel sick? You have to keep her from growing your hair out. Amateurs. People want to see these movies.
I have a warrant to destroy all your tapes. The FBI warning, it's at the beginning of the tape.
But we erased that.
Damn, they're good. They can shoot any stop.
You name it, we shoot it. Be kind, rewind videos, all the garbage.
Nothing from nothing, leave the band.
To movies with heart and soul.
Trying to miss Dave.
Are you dead? Knock it off. Don't you talk to me like that. Go like the wind, run. Run, okay. No.
This is definitely a much more restrained film, unlike The Science of Sleep and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind for Michel Gondry, the director, but That's honestly the best thing about the thing I can say about the movie, is that it's a more restrained film than what we're used to seeing from this director, and it does work. You have the story of an employee at a VHS store, played by Mos Def, and his conspiracy theorist friend, played by Jack Black, who works to recreate the rental store's film inventory after they were accidentally erased when the latter got himself magnetized while the proprietor was away. The proprietor being Danny Glover. You also have Melanie Diaz and also Mia Farrow among the cast in here as well. And of course, the big selling point of the movie was watching Jack Black and Mos Def suite all these different movies and go through and, like, you know, remake all these different movies. Like, you see Ghostbusters in there, you see RoboCop, you see the Rush Hour movies, you see all Driving Miss Daisy. I mean, that was really part of the charm of the movie, and it was very creative to see what they could do with all these different effects and all that, and it works very well. It's a really good, fun concept overall that I think works very well. And yeah, unfortunately, it didn't get the best reception when it came out. It was a mixed opinion by most critics, and it was not a big hit at the box office. In fact, some people even thought that this was going to be the movie that was going to kill Jack Black's career. But give it a couple of months, and that argument will be quickly erased, because following that will be one of his biggest successes in the film that kind of cemented his celebrity going forward. But he was really good in the movie. Mos Def was really good too. Everybody plays their parts very well. Like, even the bad guy, even the antagonist of the movie, you get later on in the movie, you get a scene where, you know, you have these FBI agents who, you know, they have to basically come in and say, hey, you can't do this. Like, you understand why they're doing it, but you also understand how important it is to keep this place open. And it's not just because of them doing these remakes and all that, but they get the town involved in it. And this is a town that has basically kind of fallen apart. And it's a really good heartfelt storyline here. The movie is very ambiguous in how it ends too. Like, it doesn't really give you a proper ending in general about how this is all going to play out, but it does show how much these people have come to care more about each other more because of this incident that has gone on with all these videotapes. And it's a really good movie. It's a film that I think is very underrated in general, and definitely deserves a lot more appreciation over time because of how good the story is. It's a really fun story. Jack Black and Mos Def are very fun to watch in here. It's a good concept. It just works all the way across the board. I think it's a really good movie, and one that definitely deserves a lot more respect and admiration than it has. It's definitely one of Michel Gondry's most underrated movies in general, and one you should definitely check out. I highly recommend Be Kind, Rewind. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next comedy, and yeah, it's not a good one. It's when you have Larry the Cable Guy and Jenny McCarthy as your two leads, that should probably be a red flag right there to stay the hell away from this one. This is Witless Protection.
The small town sheriff.
Keep your hands off me.
This ain't kidnapping. I ain't a lawman.
Get away from me!
On a big time case.
His goons will try to keep me from testifying.
Crouching Tiger. Winded Walrus. On February 22nd.
We're looking for Larry.
He ain't my bra.
He's all the protection you need.
Let's go do some good.
Witless Protection.
Hey, we're a team. T-double-E-N.
Rated PG-13, February 22nd.
Well, gee, haven't seen this plot done before in so many other better movies and not starring Larry the Cable Guy and Jenny McCarthy. Like, in 1998, this probably would have been a big hit, but not in 2008. You have a small-town sheriff who witnesses what he believes is a kidnapping and rushes to rescue a woman, the woman played by Ivana Milcevic, and the kidnappers turn out to be the FBI agents assigned to protect her and deliver her to a big Enron-type corporation trial in Chicago, but are later found to be on the take and are villains who are bent on killing her. And, yeah, what more do you really have to say about this movie? I mean, you see it in the trailer there. This is not a good movie whatsoever, and, wasting a lot of good talent in this movie, man. This is a film that I feel like wastes the most talent out of all the Larry the Cable Guy movies, because not only do you have obviously you have Larry the Cable Guy, who, I'll give him credit, he can be funny in little areas. Like, I think he's great as Mater in the Cars movies. I think that's a character that just fits him so well. And I've seen him in other things where he actually can be pretty funny overall. Jenny McCarthy can be funny at times. I watched her when Singled Out was on, but then again, that was over 10 years ago. But when you have people like Joe Mantegna, Eric Roberts, Peter Stormare, Yaphet Kotto in his last thing he did before he eventually passed away, like, you expect so much more with that group of people involved in this, and this is the end result that it gives you. And I think more than not, most people were turned away by this one because this one didn't make its budget back at all. And I think it was the final sign from Lionsgate that, yeah, these Larry the Cable Guy movies ain't selling anybody, so yeah, we're not going to make any more of them. And yeah, because this thing didn't even make half its budget back, so that should tell you something. When even Larry the Cable Guy's biggest fans are turning away from this movie, that's how bad it really is. It's that bad of a film. It's a film that you've seen done to death so many times and done much better in other movies. But yeah, this movie isn't going to change anybody's thoughts on Larry the Cable Guy or Jenny McCarthy. And even his fans are probably have never seen this one because they're pretty much done with these movies after Delta Force and Health Inspector. And really, can you really blame them for a movie like this? But anyway, that's Witless Protection. Now let's get back to the good comedies again. We have Charlie Bartlett.
I'm totally depressed. I'm gonna work this out.
Technically, he's not a doctor.
I can't sleep.
Anger and aggression. But when it comes to giving out advice,
Well, you should,
Her breast implant.
I'm not attracted to girls. Well, at least you're attracted to somebody.
he's a pro.
What are you doing this for?
I'm helping these kids. Nobody else is listening to them.
I meet out with almost every guy in the football team.
All of them?
All the backfield, anyway.
Charlie Bartlett.
I think you're angry.
Oh, bite me. Rated R. Starts August 3rd.
And again, kind of like with Be Kind, Rewind, there is a lot here to admire about this movie. It's a really good film where you follow Anton Yelchin, who would later go on to be Chekhov in the Star Trek movie, the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movie. He stars as a teenager who begins to dispense therapeutic advice and prescription drugs to the student body in his new high school in order to become popular. And these are drugs that he has been given, prescribed by him, and he's basically saying, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give it to these people here because they clearly need it more than I do. And it's a very intriguing film. It's a very engaging coming-of-age comedy dramedy where you have a lot of really good talent in here. Anton Yelchin, I think, is great. Kat Dennings is really good in the movie. Robert Downey Jr., this is before he became Iron Man, showing what he can do as an actor, even before he took the role of Tony Stark. Hope Davis is really good in the film. It's a very intriguing film and a very engaging storyline where even the main character has no idea what he's doing. He even has his breaking point towards the end of the movie, and you buy it. You really do buy into his scenario and trying to figure out, what am I doing here? What is he doing? Like, what is the purpose of him doing all this? And it comes to a very satisfying conclusion. I think it's a very well-made film, and one that I think is it's a very severely underrated movie. It was kind of pushed off to the side to basically be dumped off in the middle of February, even though that trailer said it was coming out in August, or MGM had to push it back. But I think it's a lot better than people let on. I think it's a really good film. It's definitely a film that is definitely worth watching, and I highly recommend checking it out, especially if you want to see some great underrated performances by Yelchin and Robert Downey Jr. I mean, you can't go wrong with those two guys in a film like this. So, yeah, I highly recommend Charlie Bartlett. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last film we have here, and that is The Signal. And I don't usually do this because, I do a pretty good job of trying to make sure that, there's not a whole lot of, photosensitivity issues and all that. But for this particular trailer, I really have to put this warning up here that this commercial I'm about to show you. It may trigger some seizures for people who are watching who have photosensitive epilepsy. And, if you have that, I would advise you to skip this TV spot and just go straight to my review. I'll leave a link to where you can skip to it and in the description below here. But, even I, who don't have seizures and I'm not a person with photosensitivity epilepsy, I have to tell you that, someone like me, I had to back away a little bit here because this could be a little bit distracting, but bottom line here, I'll just let the message say this out. But basically, if you have seizures and you're somebody with photosensitive epilepsy, I would advise you to hit the description down below, click the area where my review starts.
That was strange. The TV turned itself on. That's the same sound that was coming through the phone.
1 out of 2 people just started killing each other. They just decided to kill people.
It's a lie. The signal is a trick.
Why can't you just keep your mouth shut and watch TV?
Yeah, you see what I mean? I mean, it's really, really uncomfortable to watch, especially on a full screen like that. It's just like I could see why people would look at this and go like, yeah, I could see, yeah, this could really be distracting my eyes. But this is The Signal, and it's told in 3 parts in which all telecommunication and audiovisual devices transmit only a mysterious signal, turning people mad and activating murderous behavior in many of those affected. So it's kind of an anthology film. You have a couple of different elements of a psychological horror film mixed in with a splatter film, a black comedy, and also a post-apocalyptic love story. And it's an engaging idea. It's a really clever idea. The execution, not so much. I mean, the stories themselves are nothing really that significant or anything too groundbreaking, or even something that can be seen as somewhat satirical in some way, shape, or form, but it really doesn't have an iota of what it's trying to accomplish. And I think it kind of suffers because of that big time. It's a movie where I feel like the potential was there for something interesting, but it just doesn't show it on screen. It's mostly just forgettable stuff in general. And but I guess it worked for some people, and especially in real life, because supposedly a day after this movie came out, two men were stabbed by a stranger in Fulton County whenever they showed this movie in a theater, and one of them actually suffered non-life-threatening injuries to his arm, and the other suffered a lung puncture. So yeah, this apparently got to some people, got to at least one person at least, but I mean, even if you, I mean, I don't know if that's the case or not. I guess it's confirmed if it's on here, and there's actually an article about it, because I think a lot of people would have looked at that back then and said, oh, that's probably a fake marketing ploy to sell the film, but it's apparently on there, and nobody has debunked it, so I guess it indeed happened. But yeah, as far as me considering with the film, it's got some ambition to it. It has some really good ideas to it, but the execution just doesn't work in the end. So yeah, it's a mixed opinion, but mostly a large skip for The Signal. And so with all that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at 3 movies coming out on a rare leap day that has movies coming out on a rare Friday leap day where movies are coming out. And we have some notable ones here. Will Ferrell starring in a new sports comedy, this time in the world of basketball in the 1970s, Semi-Pro. We also have Eric Bana, Natalie Portman, and Scarlett Johansson in the period piece drama The Other Boleyn Girl, and also Christina Ricci, Reese Witherspoon starring in the fantasy family adventure Penelope. So we'll take a look at those 3 movies coming up on tomorrow's show, so be on the lookout for that. With all that said, thank you so much for watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and hit the playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, notification button, and the bell, because that's when you get updates on new videos. And we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.